Welcome to this Giftworks quick video. My name is Jonathan Lehman. This video is part of a video series on understanding how Giftworks can be configured to work with QuickBooks. This particular video focuses on frequently asked questions. I'll be reviewing some frequently asked questions that we hear and also some common problems that may be encountered. So let's begin. Why does Giftworks post journal entries rather than donations or sales receipts? Let me begin by saying that we have considered this and continue to consider this for releases of Giftworks. But our thinking at this time is based on several factors. The first one is we want to keep the posting process as simple as possible. We believe journal entries are simple and based on the experience of a lot of our customers who may not have a lot of experience with QuickBooks or with accounting, we believe that journal entries is a very simple implementation that is easy to implement. We also believe that the primary goal of this posting process from Giftworks is to update QuickBooks accounts to reflect Giftworks activities. And journal entries does a good job of that. We also believe that Giftworks should be used for the donor and donation management system. Some customers prior to purchasing Giftworks may have used QuickBooks for that, and so they were used to entering donations or sales receipts into QuickBooks. We believe now that that information, the donations and pledges and pledge payments, should be entered in Giftworks, and the reporting can be done there. Which direction does the information flow between Giftworks and QuickBooks? In reality, the information flows both directions, and I think it's best described by describing who we believe owns what information. Looking at QuickBooks, we believe that QuickBooks is the owner. It's an accounting system, so it owns the chart of accounts, and it owns the class list. So when you run through your configuration process with Giftworks, you're basically adding accounts and classes to Giftworks from QuickBooks or linking them to existing Giftworks accounts or classes. But the name and everything, that comes from QuickBooks. QuickBooks owns those. If there's ever any changes to that, they move in the direction from QuickBooks to Giftworks. Since Giftworks is the donor management system, of course we believe that it owns the list of donors. It owns their names and their addresses. So when you go through the posting process, posting transactions, the donors will be added or updated as customers in QuickBooks. If it finds an existing customer in QuickBooks, it will associate with that and it will update the address in QuickBooks from Giftworks. And if there's any changes in the future, they flow from Giftworks to QuickBooks. And finally, if you go to the transaction register is the record of gift, pledge, and pledge payment activity in Giftworks, and that flows from Giftworks to QuickBooks as journal entries. When posting transactions, what does it mean when I get the error, account no longer matches the linked QuickBooks account, or account is not linked to a QuickBooks account? When you went through the configuration process initially to connect Giftworks to QuickBooks, you went through a process where you linked Giftworks accounts to QuickBooks accounts, and you also did the same thing with classes. And basically, you either were linking them from existing Giftworks accounts or you were adding QuickBooks accounts to Giftworks, and they were linked together. The first error, account no longer matches the linked account, would mean that you changed either the name or the number about the account in QuickBooks, and so that it no longer matches the name or number in Giftworks. The second one means that you may have merged two accounts. For whatever reason, the account number that you had linked to the Giftworks accounts no longer exists in QuickBooks. Here's an example of how that would look. So we know that operating cash, it no longer matches. So operating cash does exist. Let me go to the chart accounts. Operating cash does exist, but maybe the number, I believe in this case the number is different. But it's telling us that direct public support, this account is no longer linked with the QuickBooks account. So the direct public support individual business contributions, you can see is no longer even an account. So what we would need to do is click on this link, and we would need to go through, update our QuickBooks configuration. We need to run through that process, and the step we need to focus on is the step of accounts. We modify that. We can see that what it did with operating cash is it automatically, behind the scenes, re-updated the name and number there. That one was linked. It was still linked. The names just matched. So that one it took care of automatically. This one here we need to choose a different account to link it to. So we could link it to something else. We could save that. We could finish our configuration, and then we could go on and finish our post. What should I do if an account I was using for posting will no longer be used in QuickBooks? This may be a result of you merging some accounts together in QuickBooks based on input from your accountant. Our recommendation in this case, if you're no longer going to be using an account, you probably will cause yourself the fewest problems if in that case, rather than merging two accounts, if you would actually, if there's an account that you're no longer going to use, if you would actually just edit that account and make that account inactive. It's probably going to cause you the fewest problems. If you do decide to merge those accounts and you ever get that the message about the account no longer existing, you will need to add that account back into QuickBooks so that so the information can be posted to it. It may come from a change or reversal to an existing donation. Our recommendation, though, in that case, in most cases, would be just to make the account inactive if that's possible. My QuickBooks company file was moved to a different network server, and now I can't post. How do I change the company file? This is a situation where maybe you had created a QuickBooks company file on your desktop, or was on your desktop, and you had configured to connect to Giftworks and QuickBooks when that company file was in your desktop, and you'd been posting successfully. And at some point, maybe a network administrator, somebody thought it was a good idea to put that out on a network server because it would get backed up overnight. So you moved it out. You moved it to the network server. You opened up that company file in QuickBooks, and you went to post, and you got this error. It says Giftworks has not been configured for the QuickBooks company file currently open in QuickBooks. Please open the correct company file in QuickBooks and try again. Well, you know you have the correct company file open. Basically what happens when you went through the original configuration, Giftworks stored the path of where that company, the company file that was on your desktop, it stored that path in Giftworks. And now when you're trying to run the post, it's saying that's not the company file you have open. So it's telling you there's a problem. You can really go through the configuration process, click on that link, and you can click Update QuickBooks Configuration. You just answer these options. If you click Next, it's showing you the path that is still pointing to your desktop path. If you have the correct QuickBooks file open, which you do, you have the one open, the QuickBooks company file open that's on the server, and you just click Change this company file. You confirm that, and you can see that it changed the path to the network path. You will be able to go through, click Next, and finish this configuration, and then you will be able to finish posting your transactions without any problem. Does Giftworks handle QuickBooks subclasses and subaccounts? And the answer is yes. It basically handles each class or account or subclass or subaccount is treated as a separate account or class within Giftworks. So if you look at a QuickBooks company file here, you can see I have a direct public support account, and I also have a subaccount corporate contributions and gifts in kind. You'll see over in Giftworks how that handles that is that I have an individual account for direct public support, and then for each subclass of that. Of those. Now, if you're going, one of the default configuration settings which causes problems, which I want to point out to you, is if you go to Edit Preferences, Accounting, and Company Preferences, if you have 3-level accounts, you definitely want to make sure that you have this, you uncheck the Show Lowest Subaccount Only checkbox. If you don't, you will get problems with the matching process. So make sure that that's unchecked. How should I handle transactions after an import of historical donations so they don't keep showing up in my list of transactions to post? Well, the best way to handle this is basically you need to get those transactions as marked as post. So if you're in your posting process, here's your, let's say these are your set of transactions that are they're from historical donations. Their activity's already been reflected in QuickBooks. You can click Next. Rather than picking QuickBooks, you can pick a CSV file. It doesn't really matter where you store it. When you click Finish, it will basically mark those transactions as posted, and they'll never show up again in your post process. Am I able to use the undeposited funds account and the Make Deposits feature in QuickBooks with my posting from Giftworks? Yes, that's possible. It's as simple as in Giftworks, when you went through the configuration process, you would have wanted to add the undeposited funds account from QuickBooks. And then when you go to your editing your fund, say for instance with the general fund, you could add the undeposited funds account as your debit account for, let's say, money. And then when you post the transactions, it would go to the undeposited funds, and you could simply do banking, make deposits, similar to, banking, make deposits. And there you can see the journal entry would come up just like it would with any other kind of entry that you would do within QuickBooks. So yeah, so that's possible. Just you need to set up the undeposited funds as your account to post to. In Giftworks, after I changed the account for a fund, why do the transactions still show the old account? So for instance, if we're looking at our transaction register, and you see that for the building fund, our debit account was operating cash, and we go over to the managing accounts and funds, go to our building fund, and we change that to undeposited funds. Go to our transactions, we can see that it still says operating cash for the building fund. The reason for that is that when you change the accounts for fund, it only applies to donations and pledges and pledge payments that are added from that point going forward. So it does not apply to historical transactions. We hope this video has been helpful, and we encourage you to watch the other videos in this video series on how Giftworks can be configured to work with QuickBooks. Thank you.